if that's what you care to do.
Yep. It is 2:00. I'm going to call the meeting to order. First item of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a quorum present with 2 board members absent currently, Gary Meckler and Chris Zeit. Next item is public comment on non-agenda items.
Staff has received none.
Anybody wishing to speak on non-agenda items? Hearing none, public comment on agenda items. Anybody wish to speak on agenda items?
We have received none at staff level.
Let the record show that Mr. Gary Meckler has joined the meeting. Item number 1, discussion and possible action on the minutes of the March 13th, 2025 permit hearing and regular board meeting.
The minutes are before you. They've also been up online for your review, sent out via email. If in fact you see something that we need to revise, please make that known to us. And if not, I would ask that you approve the minutes as presented.
Any revisions from the board? And if not, I'd entertain a motion.
We approve the minutes.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, financial report from March 2025.
Okay, we'll start with deposits. We have a total of $145,988.97 for the month of March. So we're now collecting fees from 2024 that were invoiced in January, all of January, and into the latter part of January. They all went out, and then we sent out a set of invoices on March the 6th, which for all permit holders based on permitted amounts. They went out on March the 6th. So we're starting to get in fees for both 24 and 25 at the same time. That's why you have that $146,000. Moving on to the balance sheet. You can read through that. You can see that our total assets at this point are $1,654,854.14. As you move over to the liabilities and equity, you can see that in retained earnings, we're at $1,404,298.22, and our total liability and equity balance out with the number previously on our assets. Moving on then to budget expenditures. We have to date, our income has been $325,669.88. We have total expenses to date of $264,350.79, and have used basically 21% of our proposed budget. Next page in your book, you'll see a collateralization report. Our current weighted average maturity date is at 73.35 days. And in our portfolio, we, as far as CDs concerned, nearly 69% of our portfolio is in CDs, all of which at this point are at South Star Bank, and all at 4.5% and APY. And the cash in total is at just less, about 31%, 31.34%. And collateralization levels, we've got at Prosperity Bank, we're at 492%, at South Star Bank, we're at 121%. And to remind the board, we require it to be that a minimum of 102% of what we have on deposit at the bank. Last two pages, expenses by vendor. You have a total here of $71,656.37. And you can see a little bit, the state office of administrative hearings, they've had done some work. That was just over $3,000. We did pay our commitment to the Texas 4-H Development Foundation that we had budgeted of $2,500. You can see that we have a large expenditure with AGS on hydrology for the month, just over 26,000. And everything else is pretty normal course of business. And no activity. Then on the last page, no activity except for earning of a small amount of income, interest on the well assistance fund. It currently stands at $47,744.85. They got any questions? I'll be happy to try and answer them. Yes, Jeff.
Alan, what's the significance of the blue highlighting?
The deposit, renewal of application
Okay,
and people that come in and want a permit or something.
Any other questions from the board?
I'd ask you to approve the financials as presented.
Entertain a motion?
Move approval as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Who was made the
John.
motion?
John.
Thank y'all.
Item number 3, discussion and possible action on matters involving the planning and setting of desired future conditions for each of the managed aquifers.
All right, so update from last board meeting. We did have met in February with GMA 12. And to remind you, we needed from them what their thoughts were on our best estimate scenario of expected pumping in the next 5 years, then rolling out to 2070. And the indication was from each of the 4 that they didn't desire to move the desired future conditions this round. There was no vote taken. It was just, we had a discussion. No one felt that their boards were going to want to move their DFCs. They were going to want to keep them the same. So we know that now where we are on that. And at the last board meeting, y'all authorized for us to ask GMA 12 to basically up or down, yes or no, on our best estimate scenario. That is posted now for the first time on our April the 28th, April the 23rd meeting. I don't know that that it'll be a vote on that at GMA 12. This time we have recently, all districts have the staff has sent to the hydrologist consultants. They have gathered all the permits from all the districts. And that's the first run is going to be the bookend run. Everybody wanted to do the bookend run. They wanted to turn everything on and see what that looks like. So that's being done now, and we will see that on the 23rd. Following that run, it's probably going, and we'll be talking about it on the 23rd. It's likely that the next run is probably going to be what James is couching, and I would agree that it's probably the best way to put it, is a curtailment run, because what has been indicated at GMA 12 is that at least 2 districts say, then we're going to come in and we're going to curtail the permits. And so that they can get back to the number that they're currently at and whatever aquifer they're talking about, okay? I've told them that we're not going to be curtailing anything. That the best estimate scenario is going to contain permits that we believe that are most likely to come online. And we have good reason to believe that they may are more likely than not to come online and what that effect's going to be. And we have good reason to say there are going to be some that are not likely to come online in this next 5-year period. And anything beyond that, we can deal with that in the next round. If they are going to be coming online, then we can put them in on the next round. So I am going to avoid using the word curtailment because that's not what we're doing. And we believe curtailment is what it says in the rules, and I haven't heard anything differently. So we're not curtailing permits, okay? With all of that said, I would everything that's in red, district staff and consultants, we've provided the permit information. That's done. We're hoping to see what that looks like. Pumping files for both GAMs used in the planning round. That's the Yawa Jackson. It's a completely different GAM than the Sparta, Queen City, Carrizo Wilcox run. So we provided all of our permits for both GAMs to be run, and both will be discussed. And everybody supposedly has turned in their files. And the first run that we're going to see, the one that we're talking about that has all the permits, is going to be PS4-1. Anything subsequent to that is going to have a 2 or 3 or whatever it might be. At some point in the near future, we'll either in PS4-2 or PS4-3, we will push to have a vote on whether they're going to adopt and take our recommended scenario for DFCs. And let's see if there's anything else. All right, so moving on to, all right, so that's it. That catches you up on where we are today. The other matters that we can be working on now, or should be working on now, as we're going through this next year, because we're basically a year from having to have initially proposed DFC adopted. May 1st of next year. So we're basically got a year to do that. 4 things that we need to do. And one of them I propose that we do today. We'll talk about it in a minute, which is determination of aquifer relevance for planning purposes. And we'll deal with the Gulf Coast aquifer. Okay. And we'll talk about that after these others. How are we going to express the DFCs? We've been talking about that for the last 2 or 3 months. Is it going to be an artesian decline, or is it going to be percent of total storage remaining after a certain period of time? There's certainly some validity to that. The other 2 things were the beginning date of the model run, whether it's in year 2000 or year 2010. I'd like to hold off on that till I have James here, but I did get it out of him today that if we were to move it up to 2010, like everyone else is, it's going to have a significant effect on our DFC. You've seen that in the graphs that we've shown. Okay, so we need to be thinking about that. There's another thing that's going to affect that is in the last round when we got our, and I'm talking specifically now about Simsboro. Okay, that's solely about that. We used the variance, and we used we could use up to 10% on the variance in the last round. We used, I believe, 9%. That got us to the 262. There's talk that and has been discussion that maybe we don't use a variance this time. James and I don't know exactly how that's going to affect. If everybody else uses none and they want to stay at the same number, where does that put us? So that's going to be something that we need to consider.
Sounds like a smaller number than what we had
It
before.
does. So there's some things that we need to talk about at some point that goes, if everybody else, I mean, if in fact we get what we see is going on, okay, and we don't want to move, if in fact we get to that point where we're not going to move it, then I think it would only be right that we get at least back to where we were. Now, how we do that, I'm not real sure, but that's a bridge that we need to be talking about. James will be here at the next meeting. We need to start having some of those conversations, okay? At least initial conversations on that. The other thing I asked him today, I think this is probably something we're going to get set for us. The ending date of the DFC period, right now it's 2070. But the state water planning is moving out to 2080. We likely are going to be asked to move ours to 2080. So we've got to figure out if we're moving it out to 2080, well, that puts an extra 5 years on the 50. I mean, we got a 55-year planning. What does that do as far as the DFC is concerned? So there's some things, I don't think we're going to have the option, at least I don't think James believes that, of saying, no, we're not going to do 2080, we're going to do 2070. I think we're going to be, you should be doing 2080. So those are things we need to talk about in future meetings. Today, though, in your packet, I propose, and I'm not going to read through this, in the last two rounds in 2016 and 2021, the board declared the Gulf Coast Aquifer non-relevant for planning purposes. Yes, we still manage, but it only covers 1.3% of total acreage in the district on the far deep south of Brazos County. There's a handful of wells down there, but for planning purposes, we've been declaring it non-relevant. And my suggestion is that for this planning round 2026, I'd recommend that you again declare the Gulf Coast aquifer non-relevant for this planning round.
Which is also how we got out of GMA 14.
Yes. Thank goodness.
Because they
Is
regulate.
that the only item we need to take action on today?
Yes.
I do have a point of clarification on your discussion. So you say you're not using the word curtailment. It doesn't mean that the district doesn't intend to use curtailment in the future.
Oh,
It
sorry.
just means in this DFC cycle, we believe there's more water available that the DFC can be moved without necessarily invoking curtailment in the process to get there.
That is, I'd say that encapsulates it. Curtailment, for me, the way it's read in the rules is a very specific thing and is triggered by very specific pumping, and actions are taken based on that pumping. This is not happening at the planning level. There are no specific actions that say we are going to curtail.
Curtailment or rules based on a trigger of a percentage
Yeah.
of reaching the DFC.
Right.
That is a rural district issue by rules that we are required by state law and TCEQ to enforce.
Yeah.
But that's not set, the DFCs are set by the GMA.
So yes,
Entertain a motion on the relevance of the Gulf Coast aquifer.
I make a motion that it's not.
Have a motion that it will be non-relevant in the 2026 DFC planning cycle. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, executive session. This time the board will go in executive session Under Texas Government Code 551071, receive attorney-client privilege information regarding 1, pending transport permit applications for groundwater from the Simsboro aquifer. 2, pending contested permit applications for groundwater from the Simsboro aquifer. 3, pending writ of mandamus filed by Texas A&M University System in Brazos County District Court, files number 24-002626-CV-472 and related court filings. Pending lawsuit, Casino Investments LP versus Brazos Valley Groundwater Conservation District, case number 625-CV-00001, filed in the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas, Waco Division. Establishing the desired future conditions for all aquifers within the boundaries of the groundwater district. Water production, export, and administrative fees, and groundwater conservation district related issues in the 89th Texas Legislature. At this time, the board is going executive session. It is 2:56. Board is coming out of executive session. Item number 5, discussion possible action on items listed and deliberated in executive session as noticed above. Agenda item 4. We do not have anything. Item number 6, general manager's report.
Quickly through the drought maps. If anybody thought that we were out of the drought, I know it's rained some in some places. You can see that it has expanded. And it is nearly totally encompassed both Brazos and Robertson counties into the drought level 1, so which is moderate drought. So everybody just be aware that that situation is. And if you'll move on to the seasonal drought outlook, you can see that we're in the area where it says drought development is likely. So we'll just see how that pans out. Lisa and your towels.
Yeah, I already put up fertilizer, so I need to get my.
The thing is that you're on the board at the co-op. So you can buy feed, right? Okay. All right, next page is our wells that are permitted, general manager permitted. We had none during the month of March. Next page is all permits. It was updated 2 days ago. We are, and I'll try to give you next month a rundown of what wells have been, what permits have been. We've had some reduced in amounts of permitted amounts. We've had some that have been relinquished, that kind of thing. So I'll try to give y'all a rundown of that. We still have a few out there after the 2025 invoicing that we haven't heard from yet that would be prime candidates for relinquishing oil and gas company. I just haven't heard what their intention is yet. So I'll give you an update next month. I have provided for everyone, it's very thick, many pages, but it's the legislative rundown of all all legislative bills filed that would affect groundwater districts in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So those that are highlighted in yellow are the ones that we're really paying attention to that would have meaning, real meaning for us this session. And on to the general manager's report. I'll just let y'all read through that. I don't think there's anything that's out of the norm. Megan and Ermine have been teaching sporadically, but definitely some. There's some more teaching coming, especially in
Yes.
it really gets busy here right away. And Cynthia has been staying quite busy on the collection of fees and the phone calls of, I just paid this, and why am I paying it again? So there's been a lot of that, but they failed to read the letter that happens to go with that invoice. So that's Cynthia's handled those. Thank you so much. And the last page there is just, as always, we try to keep you updated on where we are as far as the management plan is concerned. Next month, we need to, on an agenda item, we need to be talking at length on DFCs again, and some of those items I talked about earlier, and see if we can't, maybe we'll have more information following the 23rd, April 23rd meeting to where we can, move some of that. So
Okay.
that's what we're trying to get.
Any questions for Alan on the general manager's report? Hearing none. Item number 7, discussion on possible future agenda items. Anybody have anything for a future agenda item? Hearing none. Item number 8, we're adjourned.
Thank you.